Hi, everybody. Good evening. Thank you so much for tuning in once again. So, good morning, good evening, namaste, hola, bonjour, and maraban. This is Namya Joshi, your host for the day. And welcome to the 19th episode of the podcast, Each One, Teach 10, An Amazing World of STEM, an inspiring venture where we'll be discussing that STEM is part of every day for every kid. We also will learn together how to build a STEM culture. So today I have one and only my dearest Marialice in here. So let's have her here.
Hello. I'm so happy to join you.
How are you, Marialice?
Oh my gosh. Well, I'm very happy that we are twinning right now.
Yeah, true. Yellow.
Because we just want to bring sunshine to people's lives today. Bring the energy.
Yes, let's bring that. And let's have the energy in the comment section too.
I think that is fantastic. I welcome the comments.
Thank you so much. So I will take this pleasure of introducing Marialice to you. So Marialice is the founder and executive director of the Digital Citizenship Institute, and as a mother and a connected educator, she has served as an associate professor, middle school teacher, principal, and library media specialist. And I am so glad to have you here. And we'll rock this and give out lots of sunshine today.
I love that. Well, people will walk away with sunshine in their pocket.
True. So, first of all, I would like to ask you if you could tell us more about yourself, as I think our audience are eagerly waiting to know more about you.
Wonderful. So I'm Marialice Curran. I happen to be joining you from Connecticut. I want to say, I know I shouldn't, my heart belongs in Boston. So I wish I could tell you that I was in Boston, but I'm just one state away. I act like it's 3,000 miles away, but I'm in the state of Connecticut, which is in between Boston and New York. And, but I grew up in Boston, and my educational career began in Massachusetts. And then for the last 16 years, I've been in Connecticut. The last 16 years, I've been teaching teachers, both undergraduate and graduate students. And just like during that time, I also became a new mom. And so a lot of the learning that happened when I was a faculty member in higher ed was also happening at home alongside my son, who's now 14, which is incredible. And anyways, we've had an incredible journey. I've had an incredible journey, but I've also had an incredible journey as a mom. And I guess my big message for people that don't know me is like my interest and my enthusiasm about always learning side by side. And so whether that's going to be with students, your colleagues, your children, your teen, your parents, caregivers, community members, but that's what I'm really, really passionate about. And Nami, if I'm going to say anything, the fact that in January, you and I connected, I know that this was a really tough year for everybody, no matter where you lived. And so this year in January, we kicked off. I wanted to do something. I wanted to still put good things out into the world. And so in January, we had our first Global Impactor cohort, and you were the only student, like standing on your own. I mean, we had educators, and then they brought their classroom. We had a homeschool situation, but you didn't come with a teacher or a parent. And I love that we had that opportunity, that learning experience this past January, and what you created. And if people have not seen that live stream with the Minecraft world that you created on how to use technology for good, we're going to have to put the link. We'll have to drop the link or something, because that really was incredible. And that's really, that's why I'm really happy to be with you again today. Any opportunity.
Same here. It's been like, I must say, a month or so we've met. And like I said earlier, I missed you a lot.
I know. I miss you already. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yes, so now we'll begin with the questions, and before that, you can have your questions for Marialice. So Marialice, is that fine if we can have some questions for you in the chat box as well?
Oh, whatever. I am going to do whatever makes the most sense. I'm happy to pivot at any moment.
Thank you so much. So you can have your questions in the chat box. I'll take them in the end. So let's start. So after being promoted to associate professor with tenure and 10 years as a faculty member at the University of St. Joseph, you left like a higher ed to pursue being an entrepreneur, and you also launched the Digital Citizenship Institute. So can you tell us something about your journey of how this happened and what motivated you to do this?
Oh gosh. Well, I'll tell you, anybody that's watching, the idea of when you're promoted and you get tenure, that's like the golden ticket in higher education. And I would say that, I mean, I am very proud for the work that I did to achieve that, but it didn't define me. And to tell you the truth, the minute you make that move from assistant to associate, there are new like expectations, and it's just, I wasn't going to be able to push the envelope. And honestly, I wanted to be, and I wrote this blog post about it, I wanted to be a part of change, not a part of privilege. And making that move, I was going to be a little bit more boxed in on what I was able to really do. And so for 10 years, I was really fortunate with undergraduate and graduate students where we broke down the university wall. We invited others to come and learn with us. It was an incredible journey for 10 years, but I felt like I actually had a larger classroom. I had this calling that I was supposed to do more. And so I walked away from that, really not just, I mean, that would have taken, with the tenure, I would have been set for life. I could have stayed there for life. So it was a big risk to take, but I've never looked back. And I am really happy. I don't have, one day isn't anything like the previous day or what's going to happen next. And I am I'm very comfortable in an uncomfortable situation. And I think I really thrive in a situation that isn't like my classes are Monday or Tuesday, they're at this time, or, you know, a real strict schedule. And so now I'm just really lucky. I get to work with classrooms around the world in a very untraditional way about how to use technology for good. So it's still the same work that I was doing. It's just changed in time zones. That's one big thing that has changed, is trying to accommodate and understand time zones, which, Namya, I know you know, is still a challenge for me.
We will overcome our challenges someday. Don't worry about that.
I'm always going backwards when I'm supposed to go forwards, or vice versa.
It's okay. I think we'll meet someday together and we'll talk about time zones.
Sure, absolutely.
And I just wanted to mention that you actually become a real version of yourself when you become comfortable with the uncomfortable situations. And that's such an inspiring thing that you just said right now. And there's so much to learn when you become comfortable with the uncomfortable. That's when you start learning that what actually life is. I think that is very inspiring that you just said right now.
Oh, well, you know, it's I just happen to be wired a little bit differently. I'm an untraditional learner. And so when I started teaching back in 1993, you know, there wasn't a thing to be a connected, you know, learner or connected education, because we didn't have the tools. But I know that I was wired to be a connected learner before I had the actual tools to help me be connected. Because that one size fits all type of curriculum, where sometimes you're in a traditional classroom and the entire classroom is doing the same thing at the same time and passing it in on the same day. And I always failed. I can't tell you how many times I've fallen flat on my face. I never did well in that situation. So when I started teaching, I definitely took the way that I learned, and that's how I lead as a teacher. Actually, I would say as a facilitator, that guide on the side, always willing to learn together in collaboration. So the fact that we have, you know, PLNs and PLFs right now, this is a game changer in education. Like, I wish I was back to K-12. to have the opportunity to learn in a classroom as a learner with a teacher that was a connected educator. This is like the best time ever to be a learner in a classroom.
Yes, and that reminds me of the 5 competencies like being alert. And you also mentioned about the risk taking. I just wanted to share that reminded me of a quote that it is good, it is better to lose with originality than to win with imitation. And that reminds me of like how risk taking can help you also to become a better version. That when if you will not take risks, you will not learn what life is. And I think we're learning about what life takes us and what are the challenges that we face in the life.
Yes. And that it's like, I like it when learning is messy, that there isn't that, necessarily, I've never done well in a situation where we're all supposed to produce something the exact same way. That's just not, I've never been, but the fact that I am comfortable with failure too, I'm not afraid to fail in that failure. Like I'm really interested in not that final product, but like the process to get there. I used to say as a teacher, it's that time where you get to like muck around. Like I kind of think of like being in like in the mud and I got big boots on and I'm mucking around in the mud and I'm kind of stuck. Along the way I see a frog or I decide to jump in a great big puddle and eat more muddier. I mean, those are the things that like are the best part of learning. And I always want to make sure that I carve out time and space that we get to do that. So it starts from my childhood.
Yeah, everything starts from the childhood. That's true. So, Marialice, how do you feel like getting up early to attend or conduct your sessions?
Okay, I actually am a morning person, and I wake up this way. Like, so this energy, I can tell you, one of my really good colleagues, Jamie Donnelly, I go to a lot of conferences with her, and we are roommates. And she is not a morning person. She will always be like, "Where's the off button?" Like turn the volume down. But I am like this, so I don't mind. Now that I am working with school communities around the world, other than double, triple checking time zones, I have no problem getting up early, staying up late, waking up at odd hours. And I happen to wake up and I'm up. So I like it.
Yes, Amma, that's actually the correct word, and that's the accurate word that we could use for this. I must share this thing that earlier when I used to like have early sessions, I used to feel like I'm a late night zombie sometimes, or like an early bird. But now it's been like I think I'm just a normal human that I'm waking up early or I'm sleeping late, and even if I get to sleep for 2 hours, it's okay. It's okay if I'm in the morning, I'm literally like feeling I'm not alive. That happened with me once for the Rube Goldberg project itself that I created for the Did Sit kids. So like I had to finish it and I wasn't feeling sleepy. So I created that project, and to be honest, I slept at 6 in the morning and then I got up at 9. And for the entire day, I was like not alive at all. I was feeling like I'm in some other world.
Okay, I have to admit, I could be in mid-sentence and fall asleep. So when I do sleep, I sleep hard, and I definitely need sleep. So even if I got those 2 hours would definitely fuel me. Although I would probably prefer more like 7, 8, maybe 9, but hours of sleep. But just having a little bit of that, a little bit of a cat nap, boom, I'm ready. Yes. But I've definitely had zombie days, or when we used to be able to travel and you would travel internationally for a conference, and jet lag, that is a real thing.
True. Yeah, I came once back from Finland to Delhi and it was evening. I wasn't sleepy at all. And I said to my mother, I came with her, when are we going to go to play games downstairs? She said in a few minutes or so. And then she gave me the medicine for jet lag. And to be accurate, after 5 minutes, I was asleep and it was like dinner time. She said, let's go have dinner. I said, I'm going to have breakfast. I'm not sleepy. I'm not hungry or I want to play anymore. I'm just sleepy. Let me sleep. And that's what happened with jet lag every time.
Yes. do miss jet lag. In fact, before this session started, you and I were just talking, and I was talking about last year's annual DigCit Summit. We hosted it. It was 24 hours, and it was really hard for me, that 24-hour stretch. But it did make me feel like, it reminded me what jet lag felt like. And since we're in the middle of the pandemic, it was actually, in a positive way, a positive spin, nice to experience that again. You know, that jet lag feeling, since we were all home last October. So I will welcome jet lag again.
Right, me too. So when I was reading your blog, Marialice, I found this very inspiring, that no woman is an island asking a fish to climb a tree. So can you tell us something about that to our audience as well, so they could get inspired by it?
Okay, this definitely has guided me as a learner, as an educator, as a mother. So I've kind of already shared I'm a non-traditional learner. And by probably the second grade, my teachers had labeled me, and they didn't know what the learning disability was, and they used the R word with my parents, which I'm not going to use the R word on your show, or I don't use the R word in my vocabulary in anything, but my parents got outside testing, and I happened to be dyslexic and dysgraphic. And so it was like we were really kind of, this was in the late 70s, informing the school district on what it meant to be dyslexic. But a lot of times in that like traditional classroom, and the fact that we ask students, you know, a whole classroom to do the same thing the same way on the same day, that was like asking a fish to climb a tree. Like, I can tell you, I had a math teacher that when we took the math exam, it was always on the board. And our job was to transcribe. Like, I'm like looking at the board, and I'm supposed to write the question and all the questions, the entire test or quiz, and then take the test. And that's like, to me, that asking the fish to climb a tree. Like, what did that teach anybody about my math? Because to this day, I can't transcribe. I never got whatever the question was on the board. It was not the question I had on my paper. And, you know, at the time, that's like that traditional, you know, the teacher was just using, you know, a guide and like just looking at the answers, not necessarily checking my math, because my question was not the same as the question on the board. And I look back now and said, I wonder if my math teacher just corrected my math and wasn't looking for like using the key to see if I had the right answer. I wonder if I got my math right. I'll never know. But that really has kind of guided me, that importance of accessibility, inclusion, that we're very inclusive, we're very mindful about different types of learners. I mean, that's the best part of classrooms. Everybody is unique that comes into your classroom. I mean, I look at students arrive in school curious, full of wonder and awe, and we squelch it out of them in a traditional classroom setting. And so I want to bust that model, and I always want to bring out the very best. And like, to me, every single child is a gift to the world. And everybody has different gifts and talents. And it's up to us, alongside that idea of doing this side by side, that we on this journey, highlight and spotlight what makes you unique and like no other. So that's what that blog post was about. And as a learner, as an educator, it's like at my core to always want to bring that into every learning opportunity that I'm privileged to be a part of.
That's so special and significant that you mentioned that everybody has their own way of learning, and accessibility is very important in the classrooms. And that's how like the learning systems are changing from the old way of learning to the newer learning, where we're having like the 5 competencies also, and also how we can have accessibility for each kind of child. Because I think I learned this from you only, that everybody learns differently, so we need to have ways of learning everybody can access to that learning equally.
Right. And that's where you're bringing out you have to personalize the learning experience and
Right.
bring out the very best. Like, and the other part, and I know that you know this, but the viewers might not, you and I were signing, I miss you already. And so I happen to be an untraditional learner. My husband is an untraditional learner. He is deaf. And so I'm wired differently to always want to make sure that, especially now when I look at this particular year and we've all been learning and working and playing online, that our content is accessible to all. So
Yeah. When we
yeah,
see that other people need accessibility, that's where we realize that we need to make the content accessible.
absolutely. So a lot of awareness. I feel like this particular year, one of the best things for me is this: we've raised this awareness, and I can't think of anything more important than that.
True. So you've always been very open to learn from any age group and collaborate with numerous projects and help us people to know each other. So can you tell us about some of your collaborations and the projects that you've done?
Okay, well, one of my favorite organizations is out of Toronto. It's called Cyber Seniors. And if you don't know about Cyber Seniors, it's cyberseniors.org. And I know that in January, we brought Cyber Seniors into our global impactor cohort, but it was happening before the pandemic. And it was that idea, intergenerational learning, that we need to have these experiences where we get to learn. It doesn't matter how young or how old you are. Like, this is something collectively, like the idea of we and not me, and that community approach. But Cyber Seniors now, specifically during the pandemic, what a wonderful way to get teens to be able to volunteer to help seniors learn how to connect with others, their loved ones online, or learn how to download some music, or perhaps do online grocery shopping. Just a wonderful, I mean, I even, during our global cohort, that elementary, so Nicole Kang was teaching us coding through storytelling. And my mom actually watched that session, that live session, and said, does she do these coding sessions for grandparents? And I let Nicole know that, because, and I also let Cyber Seniors know that, what a great opportunity. You get like a grandparent, and even if you don't like have a grandparent, you like adopt a grandparent, but that idea of being together, learning something like coding together or storytelling, whatever it might be, Minecraft. I mean, there's just so many wonderful opportunities. But and this comes from my childhood, I've always excelled when I've learned with others. And so that's why that intergenerational part is like true to the work that we do at the Digital Citizenship Institute. So if I was to give one more example, at Lakeshore Central, we took that idea. So this is where Michael Drezick, and I know he was one of your global impactor mentors, his district, we took the idea of Cyber Seniors and we brought it to Lakeshore public schools. And this was before the pandemic, and we went to a local senior center, and third graders taught the local seniors how to use Flipgrid. And I can tell you, it was so incredible, because the seniors were like, they had these devices and they said, we want to do more than just play games. Like, that idea about being a learner, I want to do more. I want to learn more. And so we taught them, the third graders taught them about Flipgrid, which was just really incredible. And the seniors and the students learning side by side. And it's not just the seniors that receive something from this learning experience. It's a two-way street, and what those third graders also received. But I look at this and the seniors saying, like, and this is the quote, and they actually, it's from a documentary from Cyber Seniors, where there's a senior saying, everyone needs a purpose to get up in the morning. Wow, yes. Think about that. What are we doing individually and collectively to ensure that everyone, no matter where you live, no matter what language you speak, no matter how young or old you are, that you have your purpose, is important, is spotlighted. That's it for me. That's why that matters to me.
That's true. And you said about that everybody has a purpose to get up in the morning. Have you heard about the book called Ikigai?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, I would love to share this with you. It's about like a Japanese secret to have a long and happy life. It's like you have some Venn diagram. That is your passion, that's what you love, mission, what the world needs, vocation, what you can be paid for, and your profession, what you're good at. So, like Japanese people believe that everybody has an ikigai, that is the reason to get up in the morning. And I think for me, it has been a very inspiring and comforting book that gave and that gives you life-changing books and life-changing tools, sorry, and you can uncover what you are known for and what you can do for others. So I think that'll give you the urgency to find your passion and do something. And that's what it reminded me of, like to get up in the morning to do something.
Right, right. So I love that. I'm going to have to get that title because we're getting ready for, this summer break from school. My son will be done June 9th, and I'm always looking for, as many books as you can possibly read when you have the time off from school. So I'm going to get that, make sure I got the title name and the author from you, we can pick up that book.
Sure, I would love to send that. So I have a question for you. What's the funniest thing that has ever happened to you?
Funniest thing that ever happened to me. Well, there's a lot of funny things. I mean, I think I could be my own little comedy routine sometimes because I I can't say necessarily that I'm funny, but like funny things happen to me probably all the time. And probably now that I think about it, it probably stems from the fact that I'm comfortable in an uncomfortable situation and that I don't mind. Like I'm the first one that can laugh at myself and not take myself seriously at all. But the funniest thing, well, I mean, I could go way, way back. I mean, there's some really funny things. There's like one story that makes me laugh all the time, but it was with it didn't happen to me, but it happened to me because I was with my Nana and she had false teeth. And anytime we ever went on any trip, she always lost her teeth and her false teeth. And I had to be the one to like go and find the false teeth. And like, there are so many funny stories around me trying to like ask people about, have you seen, I'm looking for my Nana's false teeth. Like anytime, and that like, that's the one I think that always constantly makes me laugh. But I mean, I have lots of examples, but my Nana's teeth, always searching for my Nana's teeth, has to be up there as funny things. And my Nana was really funny because we'd go on trips. I'm an only child, so she'd be my roommate. She was always my roommate on a trip. And she'd always pack like, she was a fun Nana. And it would be like candy and like things that my parents wouldn't necessarily have packed when I was little. I loved traveling with my Nana. But one time we were actually in Kenya. And that sign where it says, do not feed the animals. We were on a safari. She lost her teeth on that safari too. I had to look for those teeth, but she was feeding a Rox Hyrax. Do you know what a Rox Hyrax is? So it's related to an elephant, but it really looks like a beaver kind of. And it was so adorable. So I said, I want to feed the Rox Hyrax. I went to feed the Rox Hyrax. I got bit. I ended up in the Nairobi hospital. Moral of the story, do not feed the animals. That's the moral of the story.
Yeah.
And anyways, it's got to be about the teeth. It's all about the teeth. Do you have any relatives? I don't think now they pull teeth like they did back then. Do you have any like relatives with the false teeth? Because that's the funniest in my life.
Yeah, my grandmother has like the front two teeth, like down on the jaw. Those are the false teeth. So sometimes she feels like I don't want to wear them. They are like too disturbing. And then my grandfather says, "No, you're supposed to wear it. It's for your own good." And then she says, "Oh, okay, fine, I'll wear it." But for me, like funny.
This was a full set of choppers, so there were no teeth in my Nana's mouth.
Oh. Okay.
So you have a visual, the type of teeth I was looking for every time she would lose them. So that I have to say is the funniest.
Right.
But I was never embarrassed.
Yes, true. So like if I talk about me, I don't remember any of them. I do remember a few, but for me, like I am laughing every day on anything. Like I find everything funny because I think I've learned to find good in everything, even that is like the worst situation. And if I talk about like the person who laughs a lot, I laugh a lot. I even will laugh if it's like not that funny thing. And then my friends will be like, why are you laughing? This is not funny. But I'll just feel like that's how I am. I laugh at anything.
This is why we're well aligned, my friend. I'm with you. Absolutely. Laughter is everything.
True.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. So where can we find you online?
Online. So the spelling of my name's a little bit different, right? So it's Marialice, but that Y is an I. But if you look at all my initials, MBFXC, that's probably the best way to find me. So that is my entire name. People are like, what is the BFX? But, you know, people have thought, am I a nun? Is that like an order? Or is that a degree? What is that? Those are all my middle initials. And so best way to get a hold of me is MBFXC. There's the website for MBFXC, but also at the Digicit Institute, which is just Digicit, so DIGCIT Institute.com. But I think that probably the MBFXC is probably the easiest way to find me. And I am always excited for an opportunity to learn with others. So please do not hesitate. I truly say that we are all here to be called upon. Why not me? And so if there is something that I can, you know, bring a certain lens to, yes, count me in.
Thank you so much for sharing that. And if I have your permission, can I show a few comments that our audience have put
absolutely.
in the chat?
Sure.
Okay, so let's start. We have Miss Monica Joshi in here.
Yay!
Okay. We have Miss Amita Sharma. Thank you so much for joining.
Thank you for joining us. Absolutely.
Thank you. So we have Dr. Ashish Mittal. Thank you so much for joining, sir. And we have the Clippers. He is Riyadh. Thank you so much for joining.
Oh, I love that. Wonderful.
We also have Miss Julie Bennett. Thank you so much for joining.
Oh, from Canada. Hi, Julie. That's wonderful.
Thank you. And who else do we have? We have Vishwas. Thank you so much for joining, Vishwas.
Oh, that's wonderful.
And we have Mr. Deepak Bhange. Thank you so much for joining, sir.
Oh, I love it. Wonderful.
And we have my principal. Thank you so much for joining, ma'am. It's a pleasure seeing you here.
That's your principal in your school?
Yes.
Oh, that makes my heart want to explode. You know, that to me is another perfect example of the fact that willingness to say it's a two-way street for learning, and we all it goes back to the question you asked me about learning together. I love that. This means so much.
Thank you so much, Marialice. So before we sign off, we would love to have a message for you for the audience.
I feel like my message would be, all it takes is one person. That's it. One person who wants to stand up and be part of that change. And once it's one person, and one person has the courage to do that, one becomes many. And that would be, I feel like that really is the message that I always want to make sure I get to instill, is that all it takes is one. And you can be that one.
True. You can be the one and then make that to 1,000 standing with you together someday.
Well, it goes with your hashtag. It really goes with your hashtag. Yes. And there is a children's book called One. It's a picture book, and it's about colors. And it's that power of like standing up, and the colors become numbers. And then there's that number one, and everybody counts. And that's that message. So it goes exactly. That's why we're very well aligned, my friend, right?
Yes, we're very well aligned. Another handshake.
Yes. In fact, I'm going to put my pinky out because I always like pinky, like a pinky promise. There we go.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes.
So I would end by saying that I'm very inspired by a quote, that I wouldn't be who I am if I didn't experience all the hardships along with my journey. And that's what is like, I find the most inspirational thing about you, that even if going through the hardships, you never stop smiling. And that is really motivating about you.
Well, I am so grateful that I'm telling you, I'm a massive fan. So for the rest of however long I am on this world, I am going to be raising my hand saying, I want to be involved with whatever it is that you are doing, because you truly are an inspiration. And I am so grateful that so many people get to learn alongside you, with you, and from you. And so thank you for having me here today. And you're stuck with me for life, my friend.
True, I am, and I would love to be. So thank you so much, Marialice, for
Thank
your
you so
precious
much.
time. Thank you so much, and I would again thank you for your precious time, sharing so many wonderful things with us.
I miss you already.
Same here, I miss you already. So thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. We would be back again with another live stream or another episode soon. So thank you so much, everybody. I'll see you in the next one episode. Till then, each one teach 10. Have a nice day.